We are back with more excavation, moving rocks, cutting down trees, making way for more solar. So we're just starting this morning, and we have Greg working on cutting some of the trees to move them out of the way. And then we have a mini excavator in operation again. We have a ridge of rocks to take care of. All these trees that are behind me are going to be moved down here. So there's plenty of work to do today on the off-grid homestead. Getting ready, making room for more solar panels. And when you live on a hill in the middle of nowhere, this is the kind of stuff you have to deal with.
Welcome to Ridgehaven Homestead. From the mountains of Upper East Tennessee, we share snippets of our off-grid life, cabin build, and garden blessings. Pour yourself a cup of tea, sit back, and take a peek into our off-grid home and family. The current goal right now is to cut up some of this wood into manageable pieces so that it can be pushed down the hill and out of the way, as this portion where all these trees that have been felled are landed. This part is going to be used to build up that grade for where the solar racks are going to go. So as usual, it's a lot of work, and Greg is going to cut the pieces up, Michael's going to move them, and hopefully we'll get into a good rhythm here. Take special note to this big pile of boulders, because throughout the course of the day it will be moved and it will disappear. Right now they're just working on all those big logs because they are really in the way. We have a beautiful, cool and crisp morning at 41 degrees. The sun is just coming through the forest and it looks like it's going to be clear and bright. It's basically slice them and dice them and crunch and munch. That's what I think when I see this big arm of the excavator grabbing the logs like they're toothpicks. He did drive over our fava beans, which he didn't know about. We have a few fava beans here trying to grow. Communication is always the name of the game. So we are moving these logs out of the way, and at some point in the near future these are going to serve as some of our firewood for the winter. So we really try to not let things go to waste, especially when we have to take down these big trees. We hate to take them down, but it's all part of the balance of living on the homestead. Some things you have to use, some things you have to clear. We do love to be insulated with the trees in our forest here. Snap, crackle, pop. The work is not quick, that's for sure. Picking up one big tree at a time, it's easy when it's in fast mode, but when you actually look at it in normal speed, it takes a minute for each one that he has to pick up. Check out these rocks down here. They're all massive. He just pushed them down the hill because he didn't know what else to do with them, but some of these are 6 feet long. That's why it's a T-Rex.
So we have the valley, and then we have what's coming up where you see that white, which is a ridge of rock, but it's more broken up than those big rocks were yesterday. So that is one thing we're going to be working on today. We're trying to make this flat so that we can get a good grade. And then somehow down this hill, as you see where they're working, somehow that's going to be graded down there too to make it more gentle. They're putting some of those big boulders in there as retaining walls. And I'm not 100% sure how it's going to play out as far as how much room we have. It's so different. It's hard for me to even remember what it was like. I'm standing here at the end of one of our terraces where we have our fava beans and we had our basil over there. And then straight down from me is another terrace where all that green is, where the holy basil is. And now that we've cleared out this major part where there were all these trees, it's hard to remember what it looked like before that. And that's just how it is with construction.
Sometimes on a homestead you accumulate construction things because they are useful, and these windows and the foam that's down here is a prime example. We saved these because they, even though we didn't choose to put them in the house, they are quite useful. They're still very serviceable, and we might put them in an outbuilding. When we had the little enclosure room built off of our camper, we had some of these windows in that, and that was such a blessing to have windows. They were some that had been taken out of a house that people, when they upgraded, but there was nothing wrong with them, and we have a friend in town who let us have those, and so that was a real blessing. And we may still be able to use them in the future. So far, none have been harmed during this project, and pretty soon we're going to clear this area out. But when you're working on one project, the out of sight, out of mind things get put on the shelf. Because of the challenge of all the rocks and the steep slope and the trees and our homestead in general, we weren't exactly sure how this was going to work out. We had it plotted out. We knew how many feet we needed for the solar, but then we also are encountering all this rock and all these challenges. So we have to keep measuring, reassessing, renegotiating, and trying to figure out exactly how it's going to work based on what rocks we can remove and the angle of the sun and lots of different factors. This is a pretty steep cut into that hill, and we're hoping not to be able to take the berry bushes that are on the top, but again, we have to just keep reassessing. Now it's time for me to roll into town and do the next thing. We had a surprise when I went to get my car and put the diesel cans in, that it looks like a bear has been pawing all over my car.
This is also part of homestead life, and it's definitely a part of this project, and that is somebody going to fill up the diesel tanks. Sometimes we keep diesel and other types of gas on the homestead, but we haven't recently because we haven't done any recent projects. So I am the designated gas getter, diesel getter, and that's fine. We have a gas station about 15 minutes down the road, so it's not terrible. And I believe he has enough so that he can get by for a little while I am away.
This is one of the country roads that we travel whenever we go anywhere. It's beautiful back here, and they just paved this part of the road within the last month or so. So that makes it very wonderful. Unfortunately, it also makes it where people like to speed a little bit faster. And so I still go a pokey little pace because I'm used to it. This was the most horrible road for the longest time. So I'm glad that they paved it. They haven't paved our road yet though. So this is just a road near our house. I love the fall colors. I'm appreciating every little bit. We don't have the vibrant reds and bright oranges so much. We mostly have the yellows and the greens, but that's okay. We'll take what we can get. So I'm driving back, and I just wanted to share a neat little thing. I was at the gas station filling up the diesel tanks, and I heard a voice behind me saying, "Mrs. Cover," and I turned around and I saw a person that I recognized his face, but I couldn't place his name. And what a blessing it was that he hollered at me, because he was one of the special friends that my son had when he was in the hospital 2 years ago when he had a terrible accident with a mini excavator. So it was really pretty neat. And also we have a connection because we both have a YouTube channel and we both have a homestead in our same county. And then we also both have 3 sons. So, and homeschooling and all of this stuff. So I was able to just remind him that time goes by so fast and enjoy the wild and crazy times of having 3 boys home. And yeah, time will go by so fast. So here we are headed back to the homestead, and that was just a little boost for me. Here's a little peek of our road. Life doesn't 100% stop just because we have a project going on, but I'm heading out there. I just wanted to fill this Berkey up to get things going because we don't want to run out of water, but I can hardly ever stay in the house when we have something going on like this. I came in to stir the beans and making 15 bean soup on the stovetop, and I can't do any laundry or anything that requires hot water this week because our hot water tank is on the blink. We have a wire that has been ordered, but we're waiting until Friday, and this is Wednesday. So we're doing bucket baths and spit showers, doing what we can, always an adventure. 3 cheers for Michael as he moves those big rocks. It's pretty impressive. Oh, he's scared. Are you scared, Chucky?
Come on, buddy.
I'll come if you come, Dad. If you're here. Chucky, he didn't know who to go to. I gotta check it out. Oh no, that's scary.
Come on.
Which cat? It kind of just seems like a day to get things done. So I'm going to not sit idly by while he's running the excavator. I am going to grab some of this holy basil. I've got some that's blooming. It's kind of hard to see it go to waste. We have so much of it, but I haven't dried a super amount this year. I will probably hate it if I run out because I do drink the holy basil tea quite a bit.
It's also called Tulsi, so I'm gonna grab some of that while I still can. And I think I'll kind of work on this garden bed that's full of purslane. It's pretty well full of zinnias that have pretty much spent their time, and holy basil. So I'll get some and I'll leave some for the bees because they're still working it. And there's really no sense in taking all the zinnias out because some of them are still growing. It's tempting to pull all these zinnias out, but I kind of want to let them go to seed. And so we have some of them that are still in beautiful bloom, like these bright pink ones behind me. And some of them are drying up and some of them are completely dried up, like this one here. But I like to let them go completely dry on their own so that they can make the flower seeds. I love to have the zinnias. They kind of just spread everywhere, and that's kind of what I like. This one here is probably good enough that I could pull it out, and I think it might be losing some of its flower heads. Yeah, I don't know what happened to this one. Yeah, actually there's a lot of seeds in here. And I am apparently planting them on the wind. So next spring I'll be getting lots of zinnias. And I know that's kind of randomly spread out, but I like the cottage garden where there's lots of colors blending. It just makes me happy when they just bloom everywhere. And so rather than pulling them out, I'd like to let them fully mature. And we have 22 degrees next week, and so that will take out everything. But until then, I'm giving them a chance to mature as much as they are able to, so we can have some beautiful color next year. It's been a little while since I've been up there, so I know Mr. Michael has been making some good progress. I will stay out of his way, and we can check out what he's been doing. I might go from the top down to look so that I don't get in his way. Wowzers! The pile of rocks is gone. I don't know where they are. I guess I'll be finding that out. The grade is looking way more flat. Yes, he's still working on it. I see some of the rocks have been put down here on the edge to support this shelf. Let's turn the camera around and we'll check out what it looks like from the front-facing camera. Okay, this is where the rocks were a little while ago. They're gone. It's looking pretty good. Crazy. I believe we have a little bit more tweaking to do, but we're gonna measure it and try to get it right and see what we can come up with. I
At this moment, he's trying to shave off the corner a little bit so we can get our length. We need 55 feet for the rack that we were planning on, but we may reconfigure that also to do a couple short rows, just depending on what we can do here, because he's opened up a lot of space at the bottom, or we may not have to have that long row like we originally planned. It sort of feels like we're back to the drawing board, because the area that he had nice and smooth, he's kind of tearing up now, but he's just trying to get it so that it's a little bit level for putting the solar panels. Sometimes, and maybe I should say often, we don't necessarily know exactly how it's going to look when we start out, and so it takes us a minute to figure it out. We're seeing lots of ladybugs, and I have my eye on this butterfly that just landed. It's a beautiful day, breezy. We have hit a little snafu, maybe I should say a big snafu, where one of the hydraulic lines on this arm has sprung a leak, and so we're getting all kinds of green hydraulic fluid leaking out. In fact, there's quite a bit. You can see it in here. We tried to see if we could tighten the line, but it seems to be leaking out from the middle of that arm where it's hard to get to, so a serviceman has been called, and who knows if that will happen today. So all work has been halted, unfortunately. That's very sad. And we are gonna have to regroup to see what we are able to do whenever this gets fixed. What he was working on when the line busted was this area up here where he was trying to smooth out the grade, and he got a good start. You can see where he was cutting in here, but he has mounds of dirt piled up where it obviously isn't finished. Oh, come on, buddy, let's check it out. Okay, up from our terraces, we now have a steep shelf that drops off where he put the large rocks as kind of like a retaining wall. We have all those logs back there to deal with someday. And then we have this mound of dirt. We have this terrace coming to the end of this terrace where I'm standing. And then we have a reasonably flat area that he has been working on. This area that he was trying to cut back to make it a little more easy to deal with is right here behind the solar panels. And then over here, we pretty much have seen what that looks like. It's quite flat, except for down at the bottom, it drops off sharply where he cut in and borrowed some dirt to fill in over here. And it does look quite different. Behind me, you can see, is a steep drop off. That's just gonna be, I guess, a wall that goes down. And it definitely has changed the landscape around here. Always changing things. Thanks for coming along on this day of the off-grid homestead life, and we'll come back. Eventually we'll get this finished and we'll get the solar started, but today, here we are, signing off. Until next time, stay safe, be well, and may God bless you.